The WNBA All-Star Draft was fun between Caitlin Clark and Nafisa Collier, the team captains picking the players, picking the rosters. But the most interesting aspect was the coach swap because Clark traded Cheryl Reeve, who was the coach of her team or was to be the coach of her team, to Collier for Sandy Brondello, the coach of the New York Liberty.
Caitlin Clark just made the funniest All-Star selections ever. She just picked her friends. She picked her friends. She made sure she picked no ops, as people like to call them. She made sure there were no ops on her team. If she's played with a player before, like Sonia Citron, she picked her. Gabby Williams. She picked nobody to tweet a negative thing about her. She's picked nobody that has said a negative thing about her in the media. She picked none of her rivals.
The most shocking move of the WNBA All-Star Draft wasn't a player trade. It was Caitlin Clark publicly firing her own coach. On live television, she executed a cold, calculated move to get rid of Cheryl Reeve, the one person who had been publicly trying to undermine her for months. This wasn't just team building, it was a public takedown born from a toxic rivalry that had reached its breaking point. This was personal, and it was brutal. And to understand the sheer audacity of this move, you have to go back to where the bad blood truly began.
Yo, this is the first time I've ever seen this, man. The first time out of all the times I've seen where two star players are picking up players. They ask for a trade, or the median person asks for a trade, and they're talking about trading the coach.
Of course, Reeve is Collier's head coach for the Minnesota Lynx, so that makes sense. But the drama is going to come from Reeve having previously been critical on social media about the amount of attention Clark received relative to the rest of the league, not to mention being the coach of Team USA that Caitlin Clark was so famously snubbed from.
The tension between Caitlin Clark and Cheryl Reeve didn't appear out of thin air. It was forged in the fires of one of the biggest controversies in recent basketball history, the Olympic snub. As the head coach of Team USA, Cheryl Reeve held one of the most powerful positions in the sport. She was tasked with assembling the team that would represent the nation in Paris. At the same time, Caitlin Clark was not just a rookie, she was a cultural phenomenon, shattering viewership records and bringing unprecedented attention and revenue to the WNBA. The decision to leave her off the Olympic roster was, to millions of fans and analysts, completely baffling. When pressed about the decision, Reeve's answers were consistently vague and defensive, offering little real justification and often deflecting the question. To Clark's massive base of supporters, it felt like a deliberate slight, a gatekeeping move from the old guard to keep the new superstar in her place. Reeve had the power to endorse the league's biggest asset on a global stage, and she chose not to. This wasn't just a professional decision, it felt personal, and as it turned out, it was only the beginning of a cold war that was about to be played out in public.
With you here, Caitlin, you said you might be aggressive on the trade market once this opened up. Is there any player that you're looking to get to? And remember, it has to be apples to apples trade here. Starter for starter, reserve for reserve. The good news is you can't go wrong with this type of talent. Anyone looking to make a deal here?
To be completely honest, I love my team. I think they're great. I don't have any intentions of really trading any of them. I don't know if this is in the rules. I don't really care. But I think we've already discussed we are going to trade coaches. Fee's going to take her coach, Sandy Brondello.
Caitlin Clark was supposed to be coached by Minnesota Lynx head coach Cheryl Reeve. Nafisa Collier was supposed to be coached by New York Liberty head coach Sandy Brondello. They swapped coaches. Cheryl Reeve, dodged the bullet. Thank God I don't need to coach Caitlin Clark, man. Man, I can't deal with that. I would have had to swallow so much pride, I can't do that. Fee, she probably called him the Fee, talk to Caitlin, please. I can't coach her, I can't do it. This book's about to come out. You know what they're going to be saying if I'm coaching Caitlin Clark and the book's out? Oh, God. Fee, please.
If the Olympic snub was the spark, Cheryl Reeve's social media activity was the gasoline she poured on the fire. For months, Reeve engaged in what many perceived as a campaign of subtle but unmistakable jabs aimed directly at Clark. She would frequently tweet using the hashtag #NotFor12Teams, a thinly veiled reminder that the league was more than one player. A statement that, on its own, is true, but in the context of Clark's historic rise felt like a pointed criticism. While Clark was single-handedly making the WNBA the most talked about sports league in the country, Reeve seemed more interested in diminishing her impact than celebrating the growth she was creating for everyone. These weren't the actions of a supportive veteran coach invested in the league's success. They felt like the passive-aggressive posts of someone who was resentful of a young player's meteoric rise. Each tweet and vague comment added another layer of toxicity to their already fractured relationship. With the tension simmering for months, the stage was perfectly set for a showdown, and it would happen in the most unexpected and public place imaginable.
Bordello's like, oh yeah, this is good. This is good. This is good. So wait, Caitlin Clark had Chrissy Sides, who never let her. Okay. Now she's got Stephanie White, who wants to do off ball. Oh, okay. And now Sadie Bordello's like, wait, oh, I could show Caitlin what she's been missing this whole entire. I can set up an offense like, oh, here comes recruitment year of 2028.
Between the players was a lot of fun, and Caitlin Clark also wound up with all of the Fever members on her squad as well, meaning Aaliyah Boston, Clark, and Kelsey Mitchell will be a trio in Indianapolis for All-Star. So that's the way it went down. Here are the teams. You can see Caitlin Clark celebrating what she was able to accomplish here. That's her squad. Clark, Boston, Ionescu, Wilson, Sabali, Mitchell, Gabby Williams. I love Gabby Williams. What a player. Sonia Citron, Kiki Iriafen, Jackie Young, Thornton, Kayla Thornton from the Valkyries. So Clark should have a very fast team there.
The WNBA All-Star Draft is usually a lighthearted affair, a chance for the league's best to celebrate their achievements and have some fun. But this year was different, as team captains Caitlin Clark and Nafisa Collier were given the power to pick their rosters live on ESPN. They were in the driver's seat, holding all the cards. Clark, known for her incredible court vision and basketball IQ, saw an opportunity that no one else was anticipating. While analysts and fans were busy debating which players would go where, Clark was planning a move that would shake the league's entire power structure. She knew the cameras were on her. She knew Cheryl Reeve was her designated coach. And she knew that with just a few carefully chosen words, she had the power to change everything. The setting was perfect. A national audience, a live broadcast, and her rival sitting right there, completely unaware of what was about to happen.
Caitlin Clark actually has a complete roster to start her team. She's got Caitlin Clark at the 1, Sabrina Ionescu at the 2, Satu Sabali at the 3. She must have heard the chatter in the offseason of fans saying, let's get Satu Sabali. I'm just saying, she might have heard a thing or two. We got AB at the 4 and Asia Wilson at the 5. Starters for starters, this should be a victory. I know it's the All-Star game, but
The moment came after the player selections were finalized. An ESPN host turned to Clark and asked if she was looking to make any last-minute player trades. With a calm, almost icy demeanor that masked the brutal efficiency of her plan, Clark looked straight into the camera and delivered a line that would go down in WNBA history. "I don't know if this is in the rules," she began, pausing just long enough for the dramatic effect to land. "I don't really care." With that, she announced that she and Nafisa Collier had already discussed and agreed to trade coaches. She was sending Cheryl Reeve over to Collier's team in exchange for the New York Liberty's highly respected coach, Sandy Brondello. It was a stunning surgical strike. There was no screaming match, no public feud. It was a clean, cold, and utterly brutal dismissal, executed on live television for the entire world to witness. In one move, Clark had publicly fired the woman who spent months trying to undermine her career.
Now as Gangster Clark heard Cheryl crusted blueberry muffin ass Reeve being salty in that press conference, throwing shade at the Fever and said, nope, get her punk ass up out of here. She ain't about to coach my team for the All-Star game, and that's why I call her Gangster Clark, because whatever Gangster Clark wants, Gangster Clark gets.
This move wasn't just about getting rid of a negative influence. It was about upgrading to a winner. The contrast between the two coaches could not have been more stark. On one side, you had Cheryl Reeve, the coach who seemed to spend her time on petty social media digs and downplaying her own league's biggest star. On the other, you had Sandy Brondello, a coach who had just led the New York Liberty to back-to-back WNBA Finals appearances. Brondello is a proven winner who knows how to manage a roster stacked with superstars like Brianna Stewart and Sabrina Ionescu. Her reaction to the trade said it all. She found it fun and amusing, revealing that her teenage son had texted her, "Mom, you got traded." That was the exact energy Clark wanted. Positive, professional, and entirely focused on basketball. She wasn't just escaping toxicity, she was actively choosing a championship culture. The message was clear and devastating. If you're not helping me win, you're in the way, and I will remove you without hesitation.
Bruh, tell me y'all just saw Caitlin Clark destroy Cheryl Reeves on national TV. I know y'all saw free smoke, ayy, free smoke, ayy, free smoke, ayy, free smoke. Bruh, Caitlin Clark want all the smoke. Bruh. Bruh, she just annihilated Cheryl Reeve on national television. I didn't see that coming. They asked Caitlin Clark, "Hey, Caitlin, are there any player trades you like to make?" Nah, I'm kind of set with my team, but I would like to trade coaches.
Clark's master plan didn't end with the coach. Her player selections revealed a brilliant strategy to build an impenetrable fortress around her. Her very first pick as a starter was her Indiana Fever teammate, Aaliyah Boston. Her first pick as a reserve was her other Fever teammate, Kelsey Mitchell. The message was one of fierce, unwavering loyalty, but she didn't stop there. The team she assembled was a murderer's row of talent. Three-time MVP Aja Wilson, three-point assassin Sabrina Ionescu, and the versatile all-star forward Sato Sabali. Her strategy was clear: surround herself with loyalty and proven winners. No ops, as the internet would say. She deliberately constructed a team with built-in chemistry and an overwhelming amount of skill, ensuring that no rivals or critics would be sharing her huddle during the All-Star Game. This wasn't just a collection of all-stars, it was a super team designed to dominate, coached by a champion and led by a queen who had just ruthlessly consolidated her power.
When you look at it, I mean, Williams is really fast for a forward. Obviously, Kelsey's very fast. Citron's very fast. Jackie Young's one of my favorite players. Iriafin, a rookie, can get up and down the floor. Ionescu can help spread the floor along with Kelsey and Clark so they can really shoot. Caitlin made sure to get some size. She actually passed up on Paige Beckers to take Sabali, and she took Aja Wilson with her third pick. If Aja had fallen any further down the board,
the reaction from fans was instantaneous and overwhelming. Social media exploded with praise for Clark's ruthless but justified power move. Comments like, "Caitlin just fired Reeve as her all-star coach on national TV. I'm here for it," and "So glad Cheryl isn't coaching her." "Goodbye, Cheryl" flooded every platform. The fans understood exactly what had happened. This wasn't just a trade, it was justice. The woman who tried to control the narrative around Clark just got her own story written for her, and she was cast as the villain. This moment marked a visible power shift in the WNBA. For years, the league's establishment figures have called the shots, operating with an authority that went largely unchecked. But now, a second-year player had proven that she held more influence and power than one of its most veteran coaches. The new generation led by Clark was officially in charge, and they weren't asking for permission anymore.
I don't know what's gotten into Caitlin Clark. You are leaning into this bad guy role. I love it. I don't know what's gotten into you, Caitlin Clark, but you've been on some I don't give a F lately. I love it. Oh my God, I cannot believe she just eviscerated and embarrassed Cheryl Reeve on national TV like that. They said, "Hey, would you like to make a player trade?" It's better yet, I'll do you one better. Get this fucking coach up out of here. Hey, Caitlin Clark ain't playing, bro.
Imagine the scene from Cheryl Reeve's perspective. She went into the All-Star draft as the designated coach for the league's biggest star, a position that guaranteed her a massive spotlight. Instead, she was unceremoniously dumped on live television by a player half her age. The humiliation must have been immense. The very coach who spent months tweeting that the league was more than one player was just publicly shown that in this moment, that one player held all the power. There was nothing she could do but sit there and take it as she was shipped off to coach the opposing team. Now she was tasked with trying to game plan against the very super team that Clark had built to perfection. The irony was palpable. Reeve was forced to confront the direct consequences of her actions, outmaneuvered and outplayed in a game of chess she didn't even know she was playing until it was too late. This wasn't just a loss, it was a public checkmate that put the entire old guard on notice.
Sorry, WNBA, if that's not in the rule. Sorry, ESPN, if that's not in the rules, but we just made it a rule.
Now.
So Sandy Brondello, come on over.
Whoa!
Let's get to it. You can coach Sabrina. So therefore, maybe Stewie wants to come on over to my team.
Whoa.
Let me know. Fee, you want to give me Stewie?
We have breaking news here. I don't know that I've heard of a coach being traded in the All-Star game. This is something that you're agreeing to, Fee. There's no terms to this deal.
I agree with Cheryl. I agree with the trade. I love Cheryl. She's my coach here. And you know what? That's just going to be worse for Team Clark because now we got more chemistry on our side. We got more synergy. We know what we expect from each other. So that was a bad move on your part, Caitlin. We're taking you down.
To dismiss Clark's move as simple revenge is to misunderstand the psychology of a true champion. This wasn't just about pettiness. It was about control, excellence, and the relentless pursuit of a winning environment. Generational talents like Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, and Tom Brady were famously ruthless. They demanded total alignment from everyone around them, from teammates to coaches, and would eliminate any element they saw as a roadblock to victory. Clark's trade of Reeve was a move straight from that legendary playbook. She identified a source of negativity and a potential distraction, and she removed it with surgical precision. This is the gangster Clark persona that fans have started to celebrate. Not a villain, but a boss who is taking complete control of her career. She understands that her influence extends far beyond the court. She is a brand, a leader, and a force of nature who will not wait for respect to be given. She will command it. In the end, this trade was never just about a basketball game. It was the culmination of months of disrespect and the powerful declaration of a new era. Caitlin Clark endured the Olympic snub and the endless subtle criticisms with a public grace that belied the competitive fire burning underneath. But grace doesn't mean acceptance. With the world watching, she used her platform not to complain, but to act. She surgically removed a toxic element from her environment and replaced it with a champion. The move was a masterclass in handling conflict with power, strategy, and precision. It solidified her status not just as a superstar player, but as a true power broker who will shape her own destiny. The message to the rest of the WNBA is crystal clear. Caitlin Clark is building an empire, and she will not tolerate anyone who stands in the way of her winning. The question is no longer if she can handle the pressure, but who will be brave enough to challenge her next.